What if your favorite myth wasn't fiction at all? What if, buried deep in history, these legendary beasts were actually real? For thousands of years, we've told stories of incredible beasts and other fantastic beings. We've always assumed these were just flights of fancy, the products of a wild imagination. Well, it's not necessarily a myth. Today, we're exploring the layers of legend to uncover the surprising truths behind creatures that might have actually existed. Get ready, because history is more fascinating than you think. Let's start with a classic, the Cyclops. In Greek mythology, these were fearsome, one-eyed giants who forged thunderbolts for Zeus. The most famous, Polyphemus, was outsmarted by the hero Odysseus. For centuries, people believed these were real titans who roamed the earth. Even the Hebrew Bible, Old Testament, makes reference to similar creatures called the Nephilims. These were mysterious, powerful beings who were unusually large and strong. But what if the truth was less about a giant human and more about a giant mammal? In ancient Greece, and especially on islands like Crete and Sicily, people kept finding these enormous, strange skulls. They had a massive hole right in the center of the forehead. It's easy to see how they'd look at this and think, aha, the skull of a one-eyed giant. But modern paleontologists have a different theory. These skulls weren't from giants. They were from an extinct species of dwarf elephant. And that big hole in the middle? That wasn't an eye socket. It was the nasal cavity, where the elephant's powerful trunk would have been attached. The real eye sockets are much smaller and on the sides, easily missed by an untrained eye. So, the fearsome Cyclops might just be a case of mistaken identity, born from the fossilized remains of an ancient elephant. Next up, let's dive into the ocean and talk about mermaids. The image of a half-human, half-fish creature is universal, appearing in folklore from Europe to Africa to Asia. Sailors, lonely and far from home, would report seeing these beautiful, mysterious beings swimming in the distance. Christopher Columbus himself wrote in his journal about spotting 3 mermaids on his voyage to the Americas. But he also noted they were not as beautiful as they are painted. So, what were these lonely sailors actually seeing out on the open water? Most historians and biologists believe the mermaid legend was inspired by manatees and their cousins, dugongs. These large, gentle sea mammals have front flippers they can use to hold their young, and a vaguely humanoid face, especially from a distance. A tired, dehydrated sailor, squinting in the sun at a blurry shape in the waves, could easily mistake a manatee cradling its calf for a woman with a fish's tail. Manatees have front flippers they can use to hold their young and bring food to their mouths, almost like arms. They have a flat, mermaid-like tail, and when they surface for air, their heads and upper bodies can look vaguely human-like to a tired, sun-dazed sailor who's been at sea for months. The siren song? Probably just the wind whistling through the ship's rigging. It's a testament to how much our minds want to see magic in the world, even in a sea cow. Finally, we arrive at the most legendary beast of all, the dragon. These powerful, winged, fire-breathing reptiles are a cornerstone of mythology worldwide. In Europe, they were fearsome monsters to be slain by knights. In Asia, they were wise, benevolent spirits associated with water and good fortune. But could such a creature have a basis in reality? While science has not found evidence of fire-breathing lizards, ancient people certainly found remains of massive reptilian creatures. Imagine an ancient Chinese farmer digging in a field and unearthing the colossal fossilized bones of a dinosaur. With no knowledge of paleontology and finding a gigantic spine, huge teeth, and enormous claws, it would be natural to reconstruct these remains in your mind as a great serpent or a winged lizard. In fact, for centuries in China, dinosaur bones were referred to as dragon bones, and were even ground up for use in traditional medicine. The myth wasn't just a story. It was an attempt to explain the fossilized giants that slept beneath their feet. From elephant skulls mistaken for giants to sea cows inspiring tales of mermaids, and dinosaur fossils giving rise to dragons, the line between myth and reality is often blurred. It shows how our ancestors used storytelling to make sense of a world they did not fully understand. The world has always been full of wonders, and sometimes the truth behind the legend is the most wonderful story of all. These stories show us how our ancestors tried to make sense of a world filled with wonders they couldn't explain. Modern science, with all its limitations and lack of understanding beyond the material world, still attempt to find reasonable explanations for myth and other little understood stories. The real magic isn't just in the myths themselves, but in the human curiosity that created them. So next time you hear a legendary tale, just remember there might be a kernel of surprising truth hiding inside. Thanks so much for exploring these mysteries with us today. If you enjoyed this journey into the past, hit that like button and subscribe for more adventures into the weird and wonderful. Let me know in the comments which mythological creature we should investigate next. See you in the next video.
Short Tales Unfolded, presented.
Creatures that might have been real.